Hey, this is Andrew from Club Ready DJ School, Sydney DJ School, and prior to that, Tarantula Music. And personally, I have run clubs and DJed successfully all over Australia for 20 plus years. And in this video, I'm going to break down the fundamentals that every DJ must know if they want all of their transitions to sound amazing. So if you're watching this video, it's probably more for kind of beginners that are thinking about, I guess, getting into DJing and want to understand the concept of DJing. And it's also for probably people that have just maybe bought gear, but they're sort of feeling a little bit lost. So here's the thing. Learning to DJ, it doesn't really matter what equipment you have. It's kind of like the same theory on everything, right? So once you learn on one piece of gear, you should be able to actually play on everything. So the thing that's the same for all DJing really is the concept. Say you've got one song playing over this side, maybe the crowd's dancing to that. While that song's playing, I'm thinking about what song I'm going to introduce next. I load that song up, then basically I hit play, I mix it in, and then I play both songs together before then probably fading up the one that was playing. I've got my new song playing now, and then I go think about what I'm going to play over here, my next song, and I basically go back and forth. So while one song's playing, I'm preparing the next, and I mix in that new song and mix out that one, then I prepare the next. And I'll be honest, it sounds kind of straightforward, and it is once you get used to it. But at first, that can be kind of complicated. People are like, oh my God, what song's playing and all that. So what I find is I teach a lot, right? So if students at first are feeling a little bit overwhelmed, it's probably that they just don't understand the steps involved in the mixing process. So in this video, keep watching. I'm going to basically just spell out the steps in the mixing process. And it might sound obvious, but trust me, make one mistake in the steps in the mixing process and everything comes undone. So I'm going to break that down. But first of all, I'm going to go through the features of the gear very quickly, just so you know sort of like the basics of it. And then from there, we'll go into the mixing process. And by the end, you're in a much better position to basically turn your mixes into gold, make them sound really, really cool. So, okay, number one then, okay. Well, actually, before I go into the equipment, one thing quickly. See, because I do the Club Ready DJ School, right, and I've got the Club Ready DJ courses, my specialty here, my niche is, it's really about preparing people to play in clubs. Now, that doesn't mean you have to have any experience. I take complete beginners to playing in clubs in no time at all. And that's something I've done in Sydney for a long time. And I've actually, off the back of my course, I've built a lot of over 1,000 DJs that I've taught individually. And a lot of them have gone on to be very successful. And I know from teaching them that it's achievable. I can get you there. I really can. Now, a lot of people, I remember, they're like, oh, DJing, you got to learn on your own. But see, here's the thing. There are some things you have to learn. Like, I can just fast track your success massively. So this video is kind of like an introduction to all that. So the first thing is, let's say you turn up and you're playing in a club or something like that, or let's say you've got your gear, you've just unboxed it. Well, all DJ gear shares the same basic operations. So even though the club gear does look like, oh my God, there's so much to it, like, to be honest, it's just the same as the small controllers too. I guess it's just got some more premium features, and maybe the sound card in the more expensive ones, like, it goes louder, it feels a lot better. And when I turn the EQ, which I'll go into, it's a little bit more sensitive. So the more expensive stuff, you can kind of feel the difference, but the basic operations is the same. So let's go through the basic operations. So number one, okay, how do you even load your songs onto the gear? Now, say with the club equipment, right, it's generally Pioneer, okay, and all the club equipment has inbuilt screens. Now, if you see equipment that has an inbuilt screen, what that means is you can actually load your songs directly onto the players using USB sticks, okay? And that's actually really convenient because you turn up to a club, you just got your music on a USB, you put that in, and it actually feels amazing, okay? But if ever you see equipment that doesn't have an inbuilt screen, that means to work, you need to connect a computer to it, and the computer becomes the screen. But here's the thing, say you're using a computer, or you're even preparing your music to put it onto USB, you have to prepare your music first with DJ software. Now, the DJ software for Pioneer, well, especially for the club equipment, to prepare your music for USBs, you have to prepare your music through Rekordbox. Now, Rekordbox is the pioneer software. I've got a video on that coming up, like, Rekordbox walkthrough. And if you can't wait, check out my course. I've got the link below where I will take complete beginners to the club. There's no doubt about that. But let's just go into this now. Yes, so the club equipment reads USBs, and to prepare your music for USB, it must be Rekordbox. So what that means is I can download Rekordbox for free. You can drag your songs into Rekordbox. Rekordbox immediately analyzes all the songs for all the information that it needs to work properly on the gear, and you can just sort your music into playlists and then drag those playlists within Rekordbox onto the USB, and then you turn up to the club, you've got your USBs and you're ready to go. But let's say then you've got a controller. Well, you just need to know what software operates that controller. Now, usually, it'll probably say on the controller itself. So let's say you've got a Pioneer controller, it's probably Rekordbox or Serato. It will say that on the actual gear. And let's say you've got a Rekordbox one. Well, the advantage of having a Rekordbox controller is that means then, sure, you can use Rekordbox, right? But then when you, instead of putting it onto a USB, you connect your computer to the actual gear with USB, right? And then you can actually play directly off that screen instead of getting rid of the screens on the computer and using these screens, right? So, but then you're looking at your computer screen. But the advantage of using Rekordbox is then if you wanted to, you could export those same playlists onto USB and play in clubs. But with Serato, it's unreal. Don't get me wrong, I love Serato. But the reason I may lean towards Rekordbox is because if I was playing in clubs, well, it only reads Rekordbox. So your Serato information is not going to read on here. So by using Rekordbox, I can use it with a controller and I can export my music onto playlists to play here. So but all software operates the same, but I've got some videos coming up on how to use software. But in short, to make the music work with the gear, I've had to run my music through software, and then I've dragged those playlists from that software in Rekordbox onto my USB, and I can basically turn up and put the USB into the USB port. And I can go here, hit USB, and over this side, I can actually link it, because there's a link cable at the back here, link from here to that USB over here. So now I use my rotary selector and I can basically go in and find songs. So say I'm in here, and these are just playlists I've put together in Rekordbox. So I could just go and, let's say, find house for now and just exercises I've put together for teaching. And I can go in and then just find a song I like. And once I find a song I like, I can just actually load the song. So I go down here, and how about I grab, even this. So I just load the song, And then once I've loaded the song, here's the song's waveform. So I've got like the start of the song and the end of the song. And if I was to hit play, that's just playing. So there we go. So that's it actually. So I've loaded the song here, and then once I'm ready, I can hit play, and now that song's playing. And now the concept is, well, actually I might just pause that for a sec. But then the concept is, while that's playing, then I go over and load another song over here. So let's say I go over here now, load another song. So I go find the song that I like. And in this case, we're kind of doing deep kind of tech house kind of stuff. So I'll go here, find a song I like. Maybe I select the song. Then, the song's ready. But now here's the thing. Let's say now I've got this song ready and I want to mix it into this one. Well, if you're going to mix two songs together, the very first step is you need to make sure the songs are at the same speed. Now, speed's measured by BPM, that stands for beats per minute. And I look here, and this song's 124 and this is 126, which means if you play both of those songs together, well, they're out of speed. Like the beats are going to come further and further apart. It's going to sound terrible. Now, even though I've got videos on how, like one coming up in this season actually, where I go through all the different ways to beat match, but the authentic way is that you don't even look and you're hitting play and you're kind of moving this and this together, which I'll break down in a second. And you're kind of doing it all by ear. And to be honest, yes, that's a lot of fun, right? And I definitely would be beat matching, there's no doubt about it. But these days, right, if you want to make it a little bit easier, now I'm not talking about sync, right? I still think as you turn up to a club, they're probably not going to have sync on the club gear a lot of the time anyway. So I still have to beat match, but I'm just saying pretty much all the gear these days is going to have like the BPM shown on the screen. And what this means is the first step I could do is I could just match the BPM of the song I'm mixing in to the song playing. So if that's at 126, I could just take this to 126. And see, that's fine. I'm making both the same speed. Now, one little thing to note though, if I am changing the speed of the song, right? Okay, let's go in here where there's a bit more going on. If I move this now, listen. that's not only changing the speed, but it's actually changing the sound, like the key. And we don't want that. We want to be we don't want to affect the sound of the song. We just want to change the speed. So to hold the sound of the song, you hold the master tempo, where you just put that in the whole time, and that should be on for both players. And that means then if I move this, the key stays the same, but I'm speeding it up and slowing it down without affecting the sound of the song. So okay, so have a listen. So you're not even going to notice, right? But with it, you don't want that. So there's not a lot going on there, but it's a little bit subtle, but you could still hear that. So okay, so I've loaded my song. I then check my BPMs. If my BPMs are different, I move this, but if I'm moving this, I have that button on. So I match the BPM of the song I'm introducing to the song playing. And then when I'm ready, say this song's playing, then I can hit play over here and introduce my new song to the mix. But let's say there's two things to note here. Say this song's playing. Whenabouts in this song do I introduce my new song to the mix, which we'll get to later in the video, so keep watching because that's huge, right? But also, when I do hit play, well, to be honest, it's very unlikely that you hit play and both the beats of both songs land directly on top of each other. And even the pros, you hit play and you just got to touch it up a little bit. So let's imagine I've hit play a little bit early. Maybe this song's a bit ahead. Instead of the beats of both songs moving perfectly together, maybe they're just a little bit out, and maybe I need to kind of slow this one down, or if I came in late, maybe I have to catch it up, and I can do that with the jog wheel. So let's imagine I've hit play a little bit late. This would speed it up to catch up. It's kind of like fast forward, but with a bit more control. So if this one's beats a little bit ahead, I can catch that up. And if I'm coming a bit quick, I can slow that down. Why don't I show you that quick? So let's say I come in, this one's playing. Okay, and they're both playing, but listen, those beats of both those songs are out, listen. That, so I can line them up. Okay, and that's it, right? Now they're both in speed, okay? Cool. Okay, now, I'm gonna take that out for now. That's the concept of beat matching, but I would be doing it in my headphones, okay? And that means when I hit play, haven't got to the mixer yet, but say this song's playing over here, hit play, the volume's down, people aren't hearing it. I'm getting it ready in my headphones so they're not hearing that beat matching process. And then once I've got the song ready, then I can introduce my new song with the volume fader. Okay, so let's go back. So let's go load another song. That's pretty much the concept though, but let's load another song. So I can go back, find another song I like. So I can go find a song I like, select the song. I can select, well, if I've got cue points, which I've got a video coming up on that too, like how and where to set cue points in this season. So I can go to the cues here, check the BPMs are the same. Then when I'm ready, I can introduce my new song. I line up the beats with the jog wheel, probably my headphones. And then once the songs are ready, like this song's in sync, then I can mix them both together with the mixer, okay? So before I get to the mixer, this one over here is exactly the same piece of equipment than this one. So they're both the same. So I can go in, find a song I like, from that, select a song, select the cue point if I had them, check the BPMs are the same. If the BPMs are different, I can move it here, but if I'm moving this, I have that button on to hold the key. And then when I'm ready, I can hit play, beat match, and then use the mixer to basically mix the songs together. So now the mixer. So the mixer, it's a 4-channel mixer, channels 1, 2, 3, and 4 with 4 volume faders. And what this means is I could actually have 4 players and 4 songs going at the same time, but when you turn up to play in a club, you've only really got 2 players, right? So if you only got 2 players, I only need 2 channels, like 2 volume faders, but which volume faders am I using? So in the club gear, right, they're basically different pieces, okay? So that's this piece, and this piece. And I can connect the pieces with the RCA cable. So it's kind of like connecting like a TV to a video. So I just go put the RCA at the back here, in the white on white and red on red, and connect it to the channel of the mixer I want to use. So in this case, I've actually gone in and I've connected them to channels 2 and 3. But let's say you turn up to play and you go hit play and you can't hear anything. Like you've hit in channel 3, I'm picking up the volume for channel 3. And if you can't hear anything, right, well, at the back there's different inputs, and you just need to make sure that the input selector at the top of the mixer here matches the input at the back. Now, if you're still having problems, check out, I think it was one of the first videos I ever did in my first season. It's about things that can kind of go wrong when turning up to clubs, and that would be one of them. So if you turn up and you're not getting signal, where you just need to, and what I mean by signal is there, seeing that that's the side that we're using. If you're not getting signal, just check your cable and make sure the input selector matches the input at the back. Okay, now, it's that. But now speaking of the signal, there's our signal there, right? And that looks okay, but if it looks like this, say it's in the reds, that's actually really bad, and it can actually kind of like affect the sound quality, kind of distort. If I was to put it through now, I'd be like, whoa, you know, so that means when I bring up the volume, that's in the reds, and we don't want that. So this top one's called a trim, and you want to kind of trim the signal so it's sitting probably just below the reds. Now, usually, right, let's say this song here, usually that will be straight up, right? Just have it there and that's looking good. But this song I had previous, maybe it's recorded a bit softer. Then when I hit play, it's only coming to here. Now, if I had another song over here that was like that, see, that's a lot bigger than this one. So then that one's kind of hitting the reds, I could pull that back a bit. But that means then when I play them together, this one's going to be louder. So let's imagine I had the volume here and I bring this one in, and because this one's only going to here, well then I'm like, I could probably get a bit more volume here. But see, sometimes people push this, and that's good. I can push that up a bit, get this one a little bit louder when I take up the volume, right? See, listen. See, it kind of like is a volume, but generally speaking, it's kind of like more for looking at levels. So you want that kind of close to red, but you probably want to be careful of hitting reds because it can be bad for the speakers and they distort the sound of crap. So in short, I would say most of the time you just have them straight up and it's good. But if ever you go and mix in your new song and it's recorded softer, and I've got the volume for both songs up here, but you're like, wow, that song came in soft, you can use the trim to get a little bit more from it. But then be careful, if you load up your next song, then it might be recorded at full level and now you might be in your reds. So yes, you can get more volume from it here, but you really want to be mindful of kind of not hitting the reds. That's bad for the sound. Now, moving down, right, this here is the EQ, and it controls different frequencies in the sound. So you have the highs, which is all that kind of like that, like the ch-ch kind of sound. If I take that out, well, actually, there's not a lot of highs in that song. So how about I go grab one quickly? Okay, here's a good example. So let's have a listen. Okay, now listen, it's all that ch-ch-ch-ch. So if I take that out, kind of dulls that. That turns that ch up, right? Then you got the mids, which is kind of like the song's personality, right? So hang on, I'll wait for some melodies now. Bang, and I can take out the personality. And that is here, that turns up the personality. Okay, and then you got the bass, that's that dum-dum. Now if I take that out, it takes out the bass, and it actually turns the bass up. Now, straight up is how the song comes recorded. So I'll be honest, if I was just playing a song on its own, I just leave it straight up. I'm not thinking to myself, oh yeah, man, Drake should have had more bass. I could put more bass in there. Like these artists and producers, they're probably great at what they do. That's why, you're playing their songs in the first place. So if you like their songs, don't mess with it, just leave the EQ up. The only time I turn the EQ is when I have two songs playing together, because if I have two full songs playing together, maybe together it can be a bit intense, and you want to control how those songs sit together, so what's the dominant song in the mix. So the most common example of all time is, let's imagine I'm putting this bit that, say I can look at the waveform, the taller the waveform here, the more bass there is. So I'm putting this bit that has a lot of bass on this bit that has a lot of bass. You bring it in, and we're in a club with subwoofers, it's like bass on bass, oh my god. So what happens is, when there's bass on both songs, it's really common to reduce the bass of the one you're bringing in, so when it comes in it's less intense, and then to make the new song, like when you're ready to make the new song the main song, you can swap the basses, and that brings the bass in for this one. And because you take out the bass of the song that you're mixing out of, the song that's leaving the mix, that means when you take out the volume, it's already on its way out, and it doesn't just go like, say if I had that up and take out the volume, it's like, where did that go? But if this is already on its way down, it's quite thin, and I can take that down. So maybe I can give you an example, why not? So let's go in, let's have a look. Well, actually I will give you an example, but I might do it with a bit of a bigger context here. So see, bass, right? I'll just go into a little bit more of the EQ. So the EQ is all about controlling what's the dominant song in the mix with the goal of flawless transitions between songs. And it's usually a matter of reducing the one that you're bringing in so it comes in underneath, and then getting that one in and the other one out, and just controlling like your transition. Now, Okay, now this can be quicker depending on the genre of music. And if you're not sure how to mix different genres, say you're kind of like new, but you're messing around and you want to know the difference between, say, mixing tech house and EDM, right? Or even pop music. And see, the thing, I've got another video coming up next, actually, like, you know, how to mix different genres and stuff. And I guess just quickly though, that's going to be, say, with tech house, like there might be less going on, so you can really draw out the songs together for a long period of time. And it's all about this in those genres. As with EDM, it's all about playing the best parts, so your transitions might be quicker. And with vocal driven music like pop, hip hop, rock and all that, well, to be honest, you probably have to be even quicker to avoid vocals on vocals. But the next video on that is like really, really good. So, okay. But now the concept, thank you. Okay, and that is basically you're controlling how the songs sit together here. So what I'll do is, okay, so let's say this song's playing, okay, and I'll show you the concept. I'll do more than bass swapping though. Okay, cool, so this song's playing. Now I've got a beat match. And then I reduce the EQ for the one I'm bringing in. Now I'm ready to put my news on top. Okay, cool. And this one sort of dropped off anyway, actually. I didn't rehearse this, I'm gonna wing it. Okay, cool. So there's a little example, but you see I went into more of the EQ. Now don't get me wrong, in my course, if I was teaching you and I was breaking it all down, yeah, we start with bass swapping, 100%. But it's not my goal to just give you a technique on here, and the technique can differ depending on the frequencies in the song. But in my course, I do break down the whole EQ, and like with the goal that you can make everything sound amazing, whether you know the song or not. I would say the majority of people are just swapping the basses, and that means they're taking out the bass and they're coming in here. But I'll be honest, if I'm only taking out the bass, and you're not using these ones, you've got to be a lot more careful with how you bring in your volume fader. And I'll be honest, that feels to me like I'm coming in outside of the song. My goal is personally to get more aggressive with the EQ, so when I bring this in, you can't really hear it. And then I can use the EQ to come in inside of the song. But anyway, I'm jumping ahead now. But anyway, that's cool. But if you want to really, really dive deep and, you know, without watching hours and hours, like just do some cool training like exercises, check out the link below. I've got some free videos, but I've also got my course as well. So just understand though, these videos I'm doing now for YouTube, this is kind of like me jamming, you know what I mean? In the course, it's a way more kind of like step by steps. It's all very professional. Like say for instance now, if I make mistakes, I'll probably just roll with it for YouTube. But the ones online are just kind of perfect. So I'm very proud of that. But okay, so that's controlling how the songs sit together. But then moving down here, we do have an individual effect for each channel. So say that's playing, I can use the filter here. You know, that's really common. And you have different effects that you can assign to these knobs. So here's noise. Okay. Yeah, different things. But treat effects like icing on a cake, I reckon. A little bit's kind of sweet, but too much can be overkill. So in theory, like this here is your cake. You know, this here's the icing. It can sweeten up this, but this here is realistically what you're going to do flawless transitions between songs all the time. Okay, moving down, I've got the volume for this one because that's on this side, then the volume for this one. And but there's also the crossfader. But personally, the crossfader, because you've only got one fader, that means then you don't get as much control as you get here. So if you're new to DJing altogether, the crossfader, if I go to this side, I hear this song, and if I go to this side, I hear this song. But again, I reckon you get more control here. And I actually think I'd only really use the crossfader if I was scratching. So I'd probably turn it off. So directly above the crossfader, you've got the crossfader assigned. I've got that on through. Then also, if you want to hear the song in your headphones, you can plug your headphones in here. Here's the volume for my headphones, and that's to hear the headphones in this side. And that's to hear the headphones in this side. So you just put the headphone cue on above the channel that you're using. So listen, if I've got that going, I'll turn that up. Okay, cool. And then when I take the volume up, well, that doesn't change the volume in the headphones. That's the volume of the speaker. here's the volume of my headphones here. And what this means is I could have both songs at the same time in my headphones, controlling the volume here, but the crowd only hears the one with the volume up. And what this means is I could hit play with the volume down, beat match, get my song ready, and then when I'm ready, reduce the EQ for the one I'm bringing in, bring in the volume, and then control how they sit together using the EQ. Now, how long you play both songs together for, again, depends on the genre of music. So check out my next video on how to mix different genres to see that. And then as well, just finishing off, as well as these effects, there's more effects down here. Now, if you've got a controller, these effects are probably the same as the ones that you're going to find above the top of each deck here, where you can assign different effects to different channels and stuff, which is kind of fun. And it's the same here. I can assign different effects to each of these, and I can turn on the effects here and control the intensity of the effect there, but we'll leave that for now. And then also, if you want to turn the overall volume up, well, that's my volume for each side, but then I've got a master volume here where I can actually turn that up and down. So, okay, now for the part we've all been waiting for. So that's kind of like a rundown of the gear. Even though this is club equipment, you're going to find that it's the same for most controllers, like pretty much exactly, but the difference between controllers and club equipment is that basically controllers probably don't have screens, which means to load your songs, you just got to connect your computer, but then you can still probably have a rotary selector on the gear. So you use a rotary selector, and when I move this, instead of moving on here, it's moving on the computer screen, and I can load songs onto either player using my computer, which is actually pretty cool. And but again, if you got a controller or club gear and want to know how they both, like the differences between the gear, definitely check out my controller to club equipment video. Okay, so, but now, the mixing process. So let's imagine that I've got a song playing over here, and I'm gonna go and find the next song I play. So I go find a song I like, select the song. If you got cue points, I could go select the cues here. And on controllers, you've probably got performance pads where you can actually also set cues here. So the thing is with performance pads, they're not on all club gear. So if you're always setting hot cues, you could turn up to a club and not be able to access them on this gear. So if you're playing in clubs, I'd always be setting memory cues. But if you don't know how to do that, check out my course and also my record box videos. But anyway, so but in short now, I've loaded my song, I can go to my cue point, and then before hitting play, you want to check your BPMs are the same. If they're different, you'll probably match the one playing. So say this song's playing over here, I go match the BPM to the one playing. Then when I'm ready, I can hit play, beat match, get my songs in sync, right? I've got a beat matching video in this series. And then when I'm ready, then I can bring in the volume and control how the songs sit together with the EQ. So I'll give you an example. Let's do this. So let's say this song's playing. Oh, actually, we just came from that. So let's do this one. Sure. Okay. So this song's playing. People are dancing to that. I go think, what am I going to play next? So I go find a song I like. Okay, select the song. Select my cue. Check my BPMs. Cool, cool. Now, see, if I was just to hit play here, I played this song for 30 seconds. How long do you play the song for? Well, I guess it depends a little bit on crowd response as well. Like, you know, if the song's going well, maybe let it play for a little bit. But if it's not going well, maybe I'll mix faster. But also, you want to kind of be conscious of like how much, like whereabouts you mix in. Like if I come in here and started singing, then all of a sudden I could cut this chorus in half or the vocals in half, and that's going to sound weird too. So I've got a video in this series coming up called like, you know, well, whereabouts to mix your songs, which you should check out. But this is more about the mixing process. So for now, I might just fast forward just a bit further into the track. And let's say I come in on a 1.
Just a little.
Actually, so I missed it.
Just a little.
Okay, and now I hit play. I've got the volume down. I beat match. Once the song's in sync, I'm going to reduce my EQ. Come in underneath. Actually, you know what, now say if I like that melody here, I could turn up. That's the personality. So I'm like, you know what, I don't mind that personality, but I've got this bass coming in. In short, maybe I went a bit early on that one. So I'm kind of covering it up a little bit by bringing the personality out. Because when I swapped, this one didn't have a lot happening. But now I see this one's about to kick, I might roll this one out. And that's the beauty of the EQ. And that's an example of me jamming and sort of like something that we wouldn't have in my online course. Like me in an online course is all prepared and practice and all that. Here, like I am just sort of winging it a bit, just having some fun, doing my best to kind of inspire you, to kind of like, you know, play. And sometimes when you're just jamming, things don't always go the way you want. So what happened there was, I came in, but then when I swapped my bass, it's like, well, this song was still going strong and I put something in that didn't have a lot happening. But then I heard this one had personality and I turned up the personality. So really, you want to get to a point that it's not about knowing your songs. Like sure, knowing your songs if you're playing live, but let's just say you're jamming and getting to know songs, you can kind of make it sound pretty good anyway, you know, you kind of, and with advanced EQ methods. So okay, so this one's playing and say I go load another song. Let's have a look. So, okay, this one's kind of fun. I load the song, load the cue, check the BPMs, and then it's like, where do I hit play? So, well, you want to come in with the changes, so let's have a listen. There's one coming in here, and I see it's about to drop off, so I'm going to come in a bit early, give myself some time to beat match. Okay, cool. Once I get my songs in sync, reduce my EQ for the one I'm bringing in, and you can use different methods. Sometimes people go like this, and we work it in. And now I see this one's about to drop off. Good time to put my new song on top. Now, it's coming in with the vocal. Say I like that vocal, I'll bring it up. And let's say I didn't want this to come in, I might loop it back. Okay, now again it's just freestyling, because what I realised was, you know what? I kind of like this. Now sure, this is this on its own. This is my beat. And I was like, oh, you know, this one was about to kick in, but I kind of like this. And I'm like, geez, you know, it's a tough call. I reckon I'll bring this one in. Okay. So you can see I've got the EQ up, but this one's got a lot of bass, but this one doesn't. This could be putting up the vocal. Okay, I'm gonna go for it. This one's gonna kick. I'm gonna let this one go. I'm gonna roll this out. Okay, cool, and that's come in. Okay, now, that's the mixing process, right? But before I do one more little recap on the mixing process, I want to explain one thing. Whether or not to set and save cue points in advance. So then I was winging it, really without cue points. Sure, I had a cue point on the first beat, but I just came in just at a random point in the song. And then all of a sudden I was mixing and I had a lot of fun. I ended up making it sound okay, right? Because with EQ, right? But let's say I came in and then all of a sudden I went for the swap and this one went straight into vocals. And I was like, and this one just had a beat. And I'm like, actually they're sounding pretty good. But I kind of had a feeling this one was going to kick in after about a minute. I could kind of see on the waveform there. And in time you get better at reading waveforms. But I was going to kick in right in the middle of this bit and the vocal was kind of just building up and I was like, wow, I kind of like that. Now, I could have stopped it and brought it back in, but then you would have heard it stop and there was a nice beat going underneath. So instead of like bringing it back in and to prevent it from coming back in, I just looped it. So here's my looping, that's the beginning of the loop and the end of my loop. But if I hit out, that just looped it back to that first beat. So it gave me kind of like another chance to bring it back in. So it gave me more time. So it was coming in, I was like, nah, don't want it to. Took it back to the start, kept it going. And then when I felt it was time to bring this in, I just exited the loop. But then this one was still going strong, and I was like, oh, and then I came out. But the point being is, with cue points, you could actually go in and map the songs and put cues where you want to mix. And just what it does is setting cue points in advance can actually just assure that you always play the best parts of each song all the time, just assuring that all your transitions are amazing. So anyway, I've got a link below on where and how to set cue points for all the different types of genres. Check that out. And there's also some free videos coming up in this season on that too. So anyway, this video then is mainly designed to kind of show you the concepts of it. It can be a lot of fun. So even though they are, it's just a lot of fun. Like I love it. That what I just did there, you might not feel it because you're not doing it, but it can really be addictive. Like in a way, it's its own musical instrument. Anyone can do it. Like I honestly think learning to DJ is the modern day equivalent to learning an instrument, and it can be a lot of fun. So anyway, I hope that video's been cool. They're in this season, I've got coming up a lot of really cool stuff. So the next one now, I'm going to film it now actually, but the next one coming up will be, how to mix different genres and the difference between doing that. And then I've got basically, how to mix each individual genre. So I've got a how to mix tech house video. I've got like looping videos. I've got like when to use effects videos. I've got like EDM videos, how to mix vocal videos coming up. And if you just want, but they're all kind of like giving you a taste of it, probably for people that know how to DJ. If you don't know how to DJ, realistically, check out my Club Ready DJ course. I don't mean to do a promo. I know promo's not cool, but it is my life's work, and I've packaged it for under $200, like it's crazy. So anyway.